Chatters, chatties, welcome home for a Great American Chat, a podcast where we chat about great American media. I'm Chad Maurice, and I hope you had a nice Valentine's Day. Love for starters. That is the treat that Great American Family gave us for Valentine's night. Was it a rose? Was it a thorn? That's what we're going to chat about today. So, this movie stars Stephanie Bennett and Jonathan Cherry. So, Stephanie, I've seen in many supporting roles in made for TV movies. I think this is the first movie I've seen her as a lead in, I believe. Um, I think she was a lead in on an Up TV movie that she did with Christopher Russell, I believe. It was like a Western themed movie or something like that. I remember Christopher Russell riding a horse, and I saw part of it and I liked it. Um, so I think she was the lead in that movie. But anyway, this who's this other guy? Jonathan Cherry. I have no idea who he is. First time I've ever seen him. Well, here goes. This movie was written by Ansley Gordon, who wrote some good movies: A Christmas Prayer, One Perfect Match, and The Abigail Mysteries. And it's directed by Jason Bork or Burke. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. But anyway, he's directed a lot of these made for TV movies, several of them. The synopsis on this one says to save her father's lakefront hotel, a talented interior designer must partner with the celebrity chef her father hired to revamp the place before time runs out. And this is another acquired movie from 4 years ago. This one came out in 2022. And the trope of this movie is we're saving a business in a small town. It's one of those movies. Our main characters is Olivia, played by Stephanie. She's an interior designer in Seattle. And then Dax is our main male lead, and he plays the celebrity chef. We have a bunch of supporting characters here. We have Olivia's dad, who owns this hotel on Crescent Lake, and the name of the hotel is El Dorado. And then Olivia has a sister who owns a pottery business, and the sister has a husband. At least I think that's who that guy was. I don't know. There was some guy hanging around with her all the time. I don't think the movie ever explained who he was. He was never introduced or anything, but I just assumed it was her husband. And then there's this blonde woman who's a produce distributor for the hotel. She delivers fruits and vegetables. And later, well, pretty quick in the movie, she becomes the father's love interest, like as soon as they meet. And then Dax has an agent named Nancy. She's in a couple scenes. And then there's this food critic that doesn't have any lines, but we see him once. So in the movie opening, that's where we meet Olivia. And like I said, she's an interior designer in Seattle. So it opens up in Seattle. She's pitching this interior design to some woman who owns a hotel chain. And her boss tells her that if they get this client, that Olivia is going to be made partner. So I've heard of being made partner in a law firm. I've never heard of being made partner in a interior design business, but I guess it's possible. So let's see. Olivia tells her boss, thanks her for the time off because she's going home to Crescent Lake. And we don't know where Crescent Lake is. It's never established in the movie what state it's in or where it is. I know the movie was filmed in Canada, but I don't know where this movie is supposed to take place. She, like I said, she's in Seattle. So is she going north? Is she going south? East? Who knows? I don't know what direction she's going. But anyway, she said she's going to help her father open his hotel for the summer season. and she's going to redesign the interior of it. So our meet cute we get right at the beginning of the film. She's in this grocery store after she gets home. So she's at where is she now? Crescent Lake. So she's back at this Crescent Lake place. She's in this grocery store and she runs into Dax, the male lead, and they don't know who each other is at this point. But he is the chef that her father hired for his hotel. So he's in there looking for organic smoked mineral salt, and she recommends table salt because they don't have all this fancy salt that he's looking for. And he acts like he's never seen table salt before. he's like table salt. He's like reading the label. I don't know if he didn't know what it was or if he was just never uses it when he cooks or something. I don't know. But anyway, they don't hit it off too well. They're kind of turned off of each other right away. We find out later that Dax is a celebrity chef, and he got a bad review from some food critic in New York City. So he's been forced to take this job in this small town. And he is famous for deconstructed meals. And I have no idea what that is. They mentioned it a couple times in this movie. I had no idea what they were talking about. So I did look it up. Apparently, it's when instead of mixing a bunch of ingredients together in one dish, you separate all the ingredients on the plate, which is kind of weird. Like, instead of putting everything together like in a casserole and baking it, you separate the ingredients in the casserole and put everything separate on a dish, and you have like the sauce on the side. I don't know. Sounds weird. I thought the first couple of times I watched this movie, I thought they just made this term up for this movie, but apparently I guess it does exist. Anyway, Dax fixes them all a meal for them to give them an example of what he makes, and they don't like it. So I was thinking, so why did they hire him? They had to have known the types of meals that he cooks before they hired him. Anyway, Olivia tells him they don't want fancy food. They want simple food, like hot dogs. Well, then why didn't they hire a chef to make simple food? Why did they hire this guy? So the name of the restaurant in this hotel is called The Catch, and it took me a while to figure that out. I didn't figure it out until the second time I watched the movie. First time I watched the movie, they kept talking about the catch this, the catch that. I was like, what are they talking about? So yeah, I eventually figured it out. That's the name of the restaurant. So Olivia has this locket that she wears around her neck. And she tells Dax that her mother gave her and her sister one when they were kids, I guess. And she has no idea what is in it because the key has been missing for many years. And at one point during the movie, she has a heart-to-heart talk with her father, and he gives her a letter from her mother. But it's not a letter. It is the key to her locket. And it's in this envelope that is not sealed, which I thought was pretty crazy because he's had this thing for years, like 30 years or more. I mean, that key could have fallen out easily as he's carrying this envelope around. And what's even crazier is that when her father gives her this envelope, she doesn't look in the envelope right away. She waits until the very end of the movie to see what's in it. And we'll find out what's in it later. Well, we know it's the key, but we'll find out what's in the locket later. So this food critic comes to town to rate their restaurant after Olivia redesigns the thing. And he is the critic that gave Dax the bad review that ended his career. So he eats at their restaurant, and we don't find out until the end of the movie what his review is, whether he gave it a good review or a bad review. Now, like I mentioned before, Olivia's sister owns this pottery business. She talks to Olivia and Dax about helping her with a fundraiser for her business. And then we get this really weird scene where it shows them making clay. They're making these clay pots. Why they're doing this, I have no idea. I guess her sister wanted them to make these pots for the fundraiser, which doesn't make any sense because if you're having a fundraiser, you'd want professional artists to make something for the fundraiser so you can make some money. You wouldn't want people who don't know what they're doing it. So that was one of the weird scenes. Dax, is his name Dex or Dax? No, it's Dax, right? Yeah, it's Dax. So let's see. Dax gets a job offer in New York City, but he turns it down because he is falling in love with Olivia and he decides to stay in this little small town. Then we get another weird scene. Dax gives Olivia a chef's hat and he says, "You look perfect." And she says, "I look like a marshmallow." Well, how does she know what she looks like? Because she doesn't look at herself in a mirror. So I have no idea why she says that line. Doesn't make any sense. So now we're at her sister's pottery's fundraiser. And this woman, she wants to buy one of their lopsided pots that they made. So either Olivia or Dax, one of them made this pot that's like falling apart. It's all lopsided, it's ugly colors. Anyway, this woman describes it as exquisite and has great detail. So yeah, this was crazy. I know it's supposed to be a funny scene, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was not believable and it was pretty ridiculous. No one would have bought that pot they made. We do have a couple of nice scenes in this movie. The interrupted kiss that we have is a nice scene. Olivia and Dax, they have a nice moment outside looking up at the stars. They're lying on the ground right by the lake. He shows her where the Big Dipper is, and they have an interrupted kiss that is interrupted by themselves. They both stop themselves. I guess they think they shouldn't be doing that. Then we get another nice scene that occurs also at night, where the entire cast is sitting around a fire that they have set up near the lake, and they all get up and dance around the fire. And that was a nice scene too. There's also a touching moment in this movie where the new interior design of the hotel is revealed, and it shows that Olivia, pretty much all she did was just change the tablecloths and the curtains. They went from green to white. At least that's all I could see. Dax gives Olivia's father a menu inspired by their mother's menu that I guess this menu that their mother used to use, I guess. I don't know, when she was alive and working at the hotel. And so the father gets emotional by this. That was a nice scene. And also earlier in the movie, Olivia's father made them all ribs, and he said that he makes this special pineapple barbecue sauce, and so he had that on the ribs. So at the end here, during this scene, Dax brings out this bottle, and he had the pineapple barbecue sauce bottled up, and he tells Olivia's father that they could sell this at their restaurant. So that makes Olivia's father get emotional there too, and he likes that idea. Olivia here, near the end of the movie, gets a call from her boss in Seattle. And her boss says, "Get your butt back here by tomorrow morning or you're going to get fired." And then we get our conflict scene, which is totally ridiculous. Olivia reads Dax's text messages on his phone. So she invades his privacy, looks at his phone, reads his text message. It's a text message from his agent or manager, whoever she is. And it's about this job in New York City that he was offered. And what does she do? Instead of asking him about it, she just jumps to the conclusion that he is leaving, that he's taking this job and leaving. So she says to him, "I'm going back to Seattle." And she says this to him without even talking to him about this text message or this New York City job, nothing. So she goes back to Seattle. And she winds up quitting her job because she finds out her boss lied to her about this big hotel chain that Olivia was pitching at the beginning of the movie. Her boss told her the hotel chain changed designers and changed their minds on the hotel design. But it was all a lie. This wasn't true. So this is when she opens up the unsealed envelope that her father gave her earlier, and she finds the key to her locket. And so she unlocks the locket, and there's a note inside the locket. But the viewer isn't shown what the note says until later on, right at the end of the movie. Olivia calls her sister and tells her, "Do not trust Dax. He is leaving." Her sister tells her, "You got the wrong 411. He just signed a 3-year contract." So she hightails it back to Crescent Lake, goes back home, and talks with Dax. Finally, she talks with him. Well, this is what she should have done when she saw that text message. So she shows him the note that her mother gave her that was inside the locket. And I didn't write down the exact words, but it said something like, "Work is temporary, but love is forever." Something like that. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, when she finally talks to Dax, he tells her that he isn't leaving. They read the review that the food critic gave them, and he gave their restaurant a 10 out of 10. Said he loved the food, looking forward to coming back and trying it again. So then the owner of that big hotel chain that we saw at the beginning of the movie, she shows up and she offers Olivia and her father a job. She wants to hire Olivia to design all of her hotels and wants her father to start a chain of hotels. So I'm not sure what's going on here, because what makes his hotel unique is that it's on this lake. It's a nice hotel, but it's on the lake. The lake is really nice. So that's part of the draw to this hotel. So what does she want him to do? Does she want him to open up a bunch of hotel chains that are on lakes? I mean, how many lakes are there that can support a big hotel like this? I don't know. Or maybe she just wants to open these hotels just like all around the country where there's no lakes. I don't know. Olivia and Dax confess their love to each other. He says he would love to make another restaurant with her. They kiss and talk about deconstructed coffee, whatever that is. And that is love for starters. And just like last week's movie, this movie has a weird title. It doesn't make any sense to me. Love for starters. I don't get it because they're not starting anything. I don't know. The chemistry in this movie between the leads, I guess it's okay. I mean, it's not fantastic, but I guess they make it work. There's a few plot holes that this movie falls into. One is that Dax is a famous celebrity chef. So I kept wondering about the movie, why is he working at this small town hotel? Olivia's father tells her that Dax has a huge following on social media and he gets lots of press. So, like I mentioned before, I guess his career was over because he got one bad review from this food critic, but I don't think one bad review is going to ruin someone's career, especially if someone has a huge following and gets lots of press. I thought that part of this movie was a little far-fetched. The other part of a plot hole here is that this hotel is only open in the summer. What's up with that? I mean, what does her father do in the winter for money? How does this poor guy pay his bills? Hotels aren't open just for the summer. Hotels are open year-round. Yeah, I didn't get that. The best part of this movie, I'll tell you, is the scenery. Now, the scenery is beautiful. It's shot on this lake, and all the picturesque shots of the lake and the hotel are really nice. And like I said, it's filmed in Canada. I'm not sure exactly where in Canada or what lake this really is. If you were playing made for TV movie bingo with this movie, yeah, you got a few squares. You got the big city girl who goes back to her small hometown. You have a business trying to be saved. There's two montages for the price of one. There's a decorating montage and a cooking montage. There's two fight scenes. There's a paint fight and a food fight. There's the ridiculous misunderstanding where someone's reading someone else's text messages and getting the wrong idea. There's a lead who quits her job but then gets offered another one. And then there's another character who turns down a good job offer to stay in this small hometown or the small town. So, yeah, that's the movie. If I were to rate this one, I would say like last week's movie, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I thought that last week's movie was probably above average. I think this one's below average. I would give this one a 4 out of 10. I think is what I would give this one. This weekend's movie, we've got Saturday at 8 o'clock. We've got A Missed Connection. This is another required movie from 2024. This one's not quite as old. It's only a couple of years old. This one stars Megan Kaiser, I think is how you pronounce her name. Kaiser, I don't know. And Alex Trumbull. So Alex I've seen in one or two movies. But this Megan girl, I have no idea who she is. The synopsis for this one says, after finding a spark with a woman on a train platform, a photographer posts a missed connection in the newspaper, but never hears from her. 5 years later, they meet again while on the way to the same wedding, hers. Okay, so this movie sounds pretty good. It sounds like it might be a fun one. So I'm actually looking forward to this one. I hope it doesn't disappoint me. But we will see. So what are your thoughts on Love for Starters? If you want to let me know, you can reach out to me. You can email me at chad@greatamericanchat.com, or you can reach out on the socials at Great American Chat. And we'll see what happens this weekend with this Missed Connection movie. We'll see if it's any good. Until next time, you keep the faith. Keep smiling, keep your friends close, and keep your great American family closer.